What's up?
There's a bunch of Cokes in the fridge for everyone who possibly wants.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Hello.
No.
Zig, 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 zig. Ad for Suno Studio, yeah? Oops. Not what I wanted. Okay. is. Let's see. Pretty sure it's telos.haus.3, something like that.
303. Yeah.
This?
Yep.
Okay. Duh! Magic redo! Alright. Let's see. Ooh, got an update. Nice.
Just the normal ones.
telos.haus. Check. All right. Mic's good. Give a couple more minutes for folks to trickle in. I think this is a new record for number of homework submissions too, so big ups to y'all, wherever y'all are. Pause these ads. Okay, got some other remote folks. Hello. Hello. Are you going to be at the office on Thursday by any chance?
I should be, yeah.
Okay. I'm supposed to stop in for lunch with this guy named Alan who was supposed to take this class but couldn't. So,
Yeah, I'll say hi to them.
okay.
Do you visit, like, often, or is this your first time?
This is my first time as a X, as an X stripe. Okay, still a couple folks trickling in, so we'll give them a little bit more time. I assume the freeze is slowing everyone down. My man with the short shorts and the 32-degree weather.
Yeah, I didn't realize how cold. Yeah.
But hey, you keep your core warm and it's all good, right? Oh yeah, power strips. Let's get some photos. For you. Okay, we'll just give people a couple more minutes. And any other last minute homework submissions, feel free to submit those. There's the Wi-Fi info. Okay. I think now is a good time to start. So welcome everyone to session 5 of EDM 101. Can you believe we're already at the halfway point? Gosh, it's been such a journey so far. I've loved every moment of it here with y'all. Today we're going to talk about a new song structure element called the build-up. This is like a way to create a sense of anticipation, say leading up right before a drop to make it hit really hard, create a strong impact, or at the end of a drop to kind of like close it out and bring us to the next section. But before we get into that, we're gonna listen to some homework submissions from last session where we looked at the circle of fifths, played around with some melodies and some harmonies, and started to add a bit of color into our tracks. So before we start listening to some demos, what came up for folks during the homework? I know I sent out the email a little bit late, but if anyone was playing around with music this past few days, did anything come up?
I found it really hard to like make a tune, so I ended up looking up the like notes for the song.
You found it hard to make it, so you looked up the notes?
Yeah, and then
Nice.
even when I looked up the notes, they sounded really different. So I don't know if I was playing them wrong.
How did you find the notes? Like sheet music or?
Just like sheet music.
Oh, okay. Were you able to find a MIDI file?
No, I didn't.
All right. Yeah, sometimes, I don't know. Let's see. Poker face MIDI. Yeah, sometimes you can get MIDI files of popular songs. I wonder what this is going to sound like. Whoa. This is better than the original. Anyway, yeah, you can often find, if the song's popular enough, you can find MIDI files, and then you can just ideally import those directly. But kudos for trying to use sheet music. Do you read sheet music?
I like remember it very vaguely. I have to like keep reminding myself that as well.
I feel like there's got to be like a sheet music to MIDI converter, like some kind of OCR. Here we go. And it's got AI in the title, of course. Yep. All right. So don't even need to be able to read sheet music anymore. The AI can do it. Thank you, based AI. Let's see. Pyle asks, or says, I ended up having to arrange on 3 of 6 bars instead of multiples of 2, 4. Interesting. Tied to a different time sheet. Okay, now I'm kind of curious to hear your song. I know you submitted it over here. Let's see. And what did you say the original was? Ashes to Ashes by David Bowie. Let's see. Sorry, we want the time signature. This says it's in 4/4, so I'm a little surprised that you had to use chunks of 3 and 6 measures, but maybe I'm not familiar with the song, so maybe the melody kind of doesn't divide neatly into multiples of 2, which is totally possible. It's not a crime to have a melody that's 3 measures long. So, yeah, now I'm kind of curious. Actually, I guess we can listen to this, and then I'll just clip it out in the in the tool afterwards, so I don't get copyright strike. But let's see. Actually, maybe we'll play it, and then we'll play Pyle's song. What, the Hekar or? No, you saw too much. You know what you've seen into my subconscious. I swear I watch more than just chess videos. Cool. Anything else that people notice? I know, Tyler, you were getting into some AI music creation with Suno. Suno, it's short for So Nuts. Yeah, So New. Only remix the intro. Yeah, I might show a brief example of this, because this really is a really powerful tool for creativity and inspiration, because you can like hum a melody into it, and then it will remix it in whatever style you like. So really powerful inspiration engine. Not to be a Suno shill. I did interview there, and they did reject me, so I don't know why I'm stumping their product, but whatever. I'm not bitter. Okay, well, why don't we listen to some demos? So, let's see, who is this? Philip, right? I think. Anyway, whoever this is, let's listen to it. Sorry. I guess you just have to remix Satisfaction as a producer. It's kind of like obligatory. Cool. Nice work, DJ's PBLB. You definitely got the melody in there. I recognized it right away. Really nice build up you had here in the middle where you took out all the other drums and then brought in a snare roll. We'll go deeper into that that idea today. And also, nice kind of like, sitting on that one note during the build up to increase the tension. That was also nice. I liked your kind of booming kick drum sound with a lot of reverb on it, very techno. So this track had kind of like a genre crossover feel to it. I think we maybe could have brought the background pads up a little bit and maybe turn down the volume of your like response lead just to balance things out a little bit better. But yeah, in general, I'd say you nailed the assignment, got the melody in there. Say that again.
What is the song?
I guess it's called Reload. Sorry, I'm trying to. Dun, 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 dun. Actually, we can use Hum to search probably to get this.
Yeah, that's Reload.
Yeah? Is that the name of the song?
Reload.
Sebastian Grosser. Yeah, that makes sense.
Tommy Trash.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nice. From the man himself. Any other comments, Philip, while we're here? I know you're probably on a slight delay with the stream.
I like that drum thing at the end.
Drum thing at the end?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Some kind of double drum thing.
Oh yeah, that like drum fill with the kick drum.
Yeah.
Doom, doom. What's that? I think he was just using the kick drum there at the end. That's a nice way to add a drum fill. Like if you've got, say, like a 4 on the floor rhythm going, then for your like turnaround measure, change up the pattern of the kick drum. And so that's kind of like there's a YouTube producer named Andrew Hong who one of his main ideas is for when you're trying to transition between two things, you want to keep one element the same and make one element different. So it could be, you're keeping the same instrument but changing up the rhythm, or maybe you're keeping the same melody but you're changing what instrument plays it. So that's one way to kind of create a natural continuation between different ideas, is keep some part of it the same and then make some part of it different. Let's see. All right, you said you thought it sounded a bit mechanical. I don't know how to humanize it more. Let's see. Let me give it one more listen here. Right. Okay. So yeah, one easy way to humanize it a bit more. So your open hi-hat, the one that's like doom, tss, 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 tss. I learned this trick from a Weston video, which I'll link in the chat. But if you make your first hi-hat a little bit louder or a little bit longer, and you make your second hi-hat a little bit shorter or a little bit softer, and you alternate, one is a little louder, one's a little softer. It can be very subtle, but it's enough that your ear kind of like notices that there's a little bit of a different emphasis, and that kind of helps not get too used to that like same open hat sound. So that's like, and you can apply that trick to like, well, you wouldn't want to do it on the kick, but you can also try that with like the closed hats as well. But yeah, give that a shot. Actually, let me just go ahead and find that Weston video because it's got like so many great tricks. Tech House. Yeah, this one. It's crazy that he makes this whole demo in like an hour, which just goes to show like you don't necessarily need to spend, tons and tons of time on a track to get it to a, good place. Oh yeah, and I did like those little pitch bends you added in the second half. That's also a nice way to add a little bit more interest to your lead sounds too, is throwing some pitch bends as kind of accents. So nice work. Okay, let's go on to Tyler's track.
Give some background.
Yeah, what's the background?
So similar to what you mentioned, like I just had this melody stuck in my head, some random melody stuck in my head that sounded Middle Eastern.
And basically all I had to do was hum it into Suno, and then it transformed it into like a fuller track, and then you can split those tracks and then just take out the cleaner vocals, and then based on the vocals like start generating a number of other things that all are in the same key. And then through that I was able to generate like kick drums, synth, bass, like everything, rearrange them. And then when there were pieces that I didn't like in the track, then you could just like remix it again with different adjectives and things, and then take in like a new kick drum or like a new bass or something like that. Also, this is a spell from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which then I just plugged the lyrics in, and then I tried a bunch of different like gravelly ancient voices. So this is what we got.
Nice.
So you're doing this in Suno Studios?
Suno Studios.
Yeah.
Did you ever bring them back into Ableton, or?
I was going to, but I ran out of time. Yeah.
Mhm.
As you'll see, it still needs a lot of mixing and stuff.
So Tyler used AI to do his homework for him, which is cheating. Just kidding. It's art. There are no rules. It's whatever gets you the results you want. I am kind of curious as to what happened here. Well, I guess that's pretty accurate. That's not bad. Incredible forum definition. All right, let's hear what this AI cooked up, or this cyborg producer cooked up.
This light I call genius, noble being conversant with gods. He goes out, hears the hum of the world, beings of light muttering in every stream. In every rock and tree he hears God's songs. Then he returns and tells me what God said. I flow like blood from the God's wombs. I am the God's life made visible. I am how God comes to know himself, his ears, his hands, his eyes. The dreaming cell will stir in the dark and follow the distant song of the lyre. We enter grace and beauty.
Nice work. I mean, what more to say that hasn't already been said in the chat? But yeah, what is what parts did you sing the
Yeah, so,
parts?
well, I didn't sound like that, but
Okay.
like, I would hit a part in the track where I'd be like, you know what would be sick here? Like a little. And so I would sing that into Suno, and then I would describe the quality of female voice I wanted, and I had to do a bunch of iterations. But then finally I would get one with it, and I would subtract that out from whatever track it was in, and then like line it up and then put it there. The other thing I really loved was a bunch of tracks that are otherwise in the discard pile, you'll get like really cool effects from. So that one that went wah wah. I don't know if you heard that. Like that was from a track that I didn't use anything else from, but that one sound was really sick. And so I grabbed a bunch of effects from other things and like put them in places.
Nice. Yeah, it is really fun and a powerful new workflow because you just kind of like get the AI to give you a bunch. I mean, this is like those mud pies we were talking about.
It's like that.
Except it's not just mud; it's like actual, usable material. And I mean, honestly, you could play this in a DJ set, and I don't think people would blink. I mean, we'd probably have to, master it a bit here because the vocal is probably a bit hot relative to the background here, and we could probably, just get a lot more volume out of the whole track. I noticed when I was playing around with Suno, I had to run it through a mastering plugin at the end.
A mastering plugin.
Yeah, I brought it into Ableton and put it through Ozone.
Oh, cool.
Just
Was that the
blow it up.
spatializer thing?
It spatializes. It makes it louder. It makes it more clear.
I think it'd be cool to have like the way codecs or like cloud code works for you, like in your IDE, you let it do
Just
stuff.
like that.
But it would be cool to use it in Ableton,
Mm-hmm.
like where you can just have it and you talk to it and say, I want something,
Yeah,
instead of having like its own.
its own DAW
Yeah.
in the web. Yeah, I feel like there's this hybrid workflow that would be best because you do have to wait for the AI generation to take place. And like, what do you do during that time? Well, you could be, making drum fills or bringing in other sounds from your local library or making other melodies locally, and you can kind of like do something productive while the AI is cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, you must have spent a lot of time just sitting there waiting for it to generate stuff or extract the stems
So I
or
would just generate more, and then by the time the first one I had to generate was done, I had already generated more content, and then so I went back, listened to the first while the next thing was generating. Like if I wanted a different kick drum, I'd try to generate that, and then in the meantime, I'd generate the vocals.
Gotcha. Generate it all and let God sort it out.
Yeah.
And we're God because we have the spark of divinity within us, and we can make selections.
The like things as stems and as we files when you grab it into Ableton.
That, I haven't gotten that far yet, but that's what I would do for mastering. But Suno has its own like studio.
Oh, so you did
It's
you
like
did
a-
that all in Suno Studio?
Yeah, so you can create a track and split it into stems, and then just extract like just the kicks, so just the vocals like that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if Suno added a mastering feature, that would be nice. But like, I can pull up one of my.
They should have hired you. Would have written it yourself.
Well, I tweeted at the guy I interviewed and be like, hey, can we wrap the app in like Electron so it could be a local desktop app? Wait, where's a project I did with this? Here, maybe. Which one was this? Yeah, this is just like an example of something I made. I think. I don't even know what this was. Let's
Do you need a
see.
subscription to mess around? Or?
Yeah, it's $30 a month, which kind of pricey. Or you can buy your subscription for $24 a month. But it is a lot of fun. Honestly, it's made solo producing a lot more fun because it's like I have a creative partner in the room with me. Which one was this? Is it even gonna play it? Nope. Boo. Okay. Well, maybe this one. Which one was this? It could be. It could also be my. Like when I think this is a Windows issue, but I think it doesn't like, or it's really. One thing that messes up my workflow is I have to constantly switch which driver is being used on my sound card. So I think I might get a Mac just for this purpose eventually. This could be the thing that breaks me, but yeah, this is a great track. Loved the double woo, the woo woo right before the drop was a little funny because usually that sound effect is you would only hear it once before a drop, but I believe it's this one. Actually, maybe I have it in my library here. Oops, we're lagging. I'm pretty sure it's this decap woo sound. Wow, rip my CPU. Okay. Yeah, probably close some tabs. Close your song. We don't need it anymore. Close that. Okay. All right, we're just gonna have to restart Ableton when it's time to do Ableton stuff. But all right, well. Yeah, great work, Tyler. And this is a great demonstration of the era we're in now, where you can just hum stuff, and with the right prompting, you can turn it into a really highly listenable piece of work. If not necessarily breaking any boundaries here, but it does sound quite good. So, and I'm sure it was very fun to make. I saw you grooving along to it. Cool. Wait. Do I get to play it? Okay, no. I'm just going to shut her down. Okay. Let's listen to what Storm made for us this week. All right, here we go. Or not. Let's see. Okay, I'm still on the internet. Still streaming. Hold on. Let's try this one. Okay, hold on. It's probably a driver thing. 1 second. Wait, sorry. I know that's not right. Hold on. This is why creatives like Macs. You don't have to deal with any of this stuff. Okay, let's try again. Oh. There we go. Oh. Hold on. Okay. Yay. All right, very nice. Yeah, I loved the general vibe and ambience of the track. I was getting like, abandoned spaceship vibes, or maybe like the first level in a Metroid game, like where you're kind of on an alien planet and it's like wet and forest and kind of like green and there's artifacts everywhere. I love the contrast between the sort of like, slow moving bass pads and the cool rising arpeggiator. That was really cool. I don't know where you got that, Storm, but that sounded really cool. And then this I like how you brought in this sort of like low sawtooth Reese kind of sound. I think if it were an orchestral piece, that would have been like some powerful trombones right there. That sounded cool. I think you probably could have brought the snare up a little bit, or maybe brought it up but then put some more reverb on it to give it a bit of a tail, a bit of ambience. And I think some sort of like alien percussion like off the grid would fit in nicely here and help craft an even more immersive mood. Was this, I don't know if you're on the stream or anywhere, I'd be curious to know if this was based off of like an actual song or some other song, but don't hear anything from Storm, so I guess we'll have to find out next time.
One question.
What's up?
On the arpeggiator, is there like a delay or a reverb that makes it sound like more floaty?
Well, you could put a delay or reverb effect after the arpeggiator. It's not the arpeggiator itself that makes it sound floaty. I would just, if I was making that with an arp, I guess it would be like, holding down a chord and putting it in the up pattern, so it just goes, and then you put like some delay reverb at the end to give it that sense of space.
Yeah.
But very cool. I would cross space while listening to this song. Totally. All right. Next up, we got Rishabh's submission. Let's give it a listen. I heard you sing along. It's that chord progression. It's like, a million different pop songs have been written with it.
I think it was the same one that you used, but I just can't think
It's a classic.
I didn't know like another one.
It works. It works.
1 6 to a
1 6. Wait, what's it? 1 6 3 7. If we're in a minor key, that is. Or 6 6 4 1 5 if we're in a major key. Yeah. Little music theory lesson there for y'all. But okay. Nice work. I think it was pretty obvious that the pad was mixed a little loud.
Mm-hmm. What's the wait? Sorry, which one's the pad? Is that the
The thing playing the chords, right?
Okay.
Kind of dominates the sound. And this is just one thing to keep in mind. If you have a sound in your mix that's kind of like static and steady and is just there, it doesn't actually need to be that loud because it kind of persists and it sticks around. So and you don't want the listener's ear to get tired, and you don't want to take up too much space in your mix that other elements could go to. So generally, if you have like a long held sort of thing, you can keep it really quiet and it'll still get the point across. One trick you can use there is like basically, well, sorry, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. But yeah, just you could turn it way down and it's all good. I liked your drums; they sounded nice. I think you had some good hi-hats in there, and your choice of samples was good too. Yeah, I think just like comparing your mix against a reference track will be a good way to get those levels balanced a little bit better. Honestly, it was a little difficult for me to hear the others. I can't comment too much on the other elements just because I was having trouble hearing them. But we'd love to hear a version where you like lower the volume of the pad a bit.
I think like something's maybe up with like my headphones. I've never used it before.
Oh, okay.
When I listened to it then, it sounded fine, but I definitely hear it on the speakers. And it's like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, headphones can be tricky because you're never really listening to music with like two speakers. Well, I guess except in your headphones. But one trick there is to listen to your mix on like a bunch of different systems and see what pops out. But yeah, otherwise, good job with the arrangement too. So cool. And we'll do the last song, which is from Pile. So this is based on a David Bowie song. So let's give it a listen. Actually, let's listen to Piles first, and then we'll listen to David Bowie. All right, very cute. A lot of really interesting like tones in there. I like that sort of sub-oceanic bass you had going on. That was really really juicy. I think I understand what you meant in your message about it. Playing the melodies in 3 and 6 bars instead of multiples of 2 and 4. It did sound like you had, like the. I think you had maybe some arpeggiator going that sounded like it was syncopated with the main melody. So maybe that was like an artifact of how you had programmed the MIDIs. I'm really curious to hear what the original sounds like now. Let's give it a quick listen. Okay, I think it's actually now I respect the accuracy of your cover here. That was a tough one. I was quite wonky there at the beginning, but you made it happen. So kudos for that. Not sure.
About that like high part that was like tripletty.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Bowie one, it was like this high guitar or something.
Let's see. Let's wind it back. All right. Let's hear Pyle's version now. yeah, I mean, this is a really difficult rhythm to get right because it's like you got that slap bass in there, and then there's the guitar, and then I think he's got at least one other instrument in there, and they're all kind of like speaking their own truth at the same time. So good attempt there, and I could definitely see this being used in like a quirky video game. So props. All right. Any other comments? Last minute submissions of homework? Anything people want to mention before? Oh, were we supposed to have faithful covers? No. I mean, it's fine. The home play assignments are mainly supposed to be a jumping off point. Yeah, fine. You're totally good. There's no right or wrong here. I mean, Tyler completely cheated by using Suno, but it's all good because we're just here to explore music and develop a deeper understanding of it. Yeah, you're perfectly fine here. This is a great demo. Cool. All right, so let's for today we're going to talk about build-ups. So what is a build-up? It is usually 8 bars of rising tension sort of sounds. Probably one that we've encountered already here a lot is this like 16th note snare roll that kind of builds up and tells the listener like, hey, something big's about to happen. Or as in Tyler's song, it fakes them out the first time and it snare rolls into nothing. But that can also be an effective trick. Sometimes you do want to subvert the listener's expectations. That keeps things fresh. And we'll talk about we'll also show how to kind of blend the two. The buildup can be an opportunity to tease the listener with a little hint of what's to come, so they get this sort of like pre-nostalgia for the drop melody when it comes, and that can help enhance the power of the drop and make the melody stick in your ear even more so. So let's open up Ableton and do just that. And hopefully my drivers aren't jacked up. Oh, actually, let's listen. Okay, let's listen.
You can, I don't want to take up too much time.
Well, no, that's fine. Rishabh just dropped in a remix. Yeah, still pretty loud.
Yeah, then much softer when I'm listening to it.
Yeah, you honestly might try turning it all the way down and then just turn it up until you can barely hear it.
Okay.
And then, see how far that gets you. I think maybe you also could sidechain the pad to the kick and the snare. I wasn't hearing that, volume dip that I would expect.
See if we test it, but I'll double check that as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. There's your sound. Or that's the classic. Sorry, this is too loud. But yeah, I guess that made it into the training data. Okay. So, I wonder if I have I kind of want to start from my, previous one, just so we're on the same page here. Okay. So, last time we made this incredible cover of Poker Face by Lady Gaga, or Bad Romance. Okay, so now we're going to add a build up to that. And actually first I have 8 measures here, which is a good amount of time, but I'm going to move everything over just to give myself a little more room to work with. And also, I feel like I need to turn the audio engine on and off again. Oops. Okay, thank you, Ableton. Just computer can keep up because I'm streaming and playing music on different Chrome tabs and got Discord open, but good job, little AMD CPU. I would like to recover my work. Nice. It didn't recover anything. Okay, great. So move it over a little bit first. Let me just try switching my driver here and see if that makes it a little better. Let's turn the delay back down. Let me try changing this to 44. There we go. Okay. So typical length of time for a build-up to take place is 8 measures, but sometimes in genres like trance, you might have a build-up lasting for like most of the song, which is an interesting creative challenge. Like, how do you keep just like adding more and more tension without, you know, blowing up or, you know, just completely making it completely chaotic. And you can check out my song Miles to Go for a lesson in that. But you know, 8 measures is usually a good amount of time. You can get a lot done in there. So let's look at a bunch of different ways we can increase this tension. So probably the most classic pattern you might encounter is this like gradually building snare roll. So let's pick a snare. You know, it can be anyone. You can get like some trappy kind of sound. I kind of want to use the trap snare for a separate layer. So let's get. Okay, that's a good one. Okay. So we'll create a new, you know, MIDI track, let's say, and we'll drag our snare in here, and then we're gonna make an 8-bar MIDI clip here for our snare. And
Did you do the drum rack or no?
I didn't do a drum rack, but you can take, let's say you drag in a sample and you have a simpler here, you can right click on it and convert it to a drum sampler. So then that's new. Wait, there should be a way to, group, this is the one I was looking for, this group to drum rack feature, and that will wrap your simpler in a drum rack. So cool. That simpler to drum sampler is this must be a new thing from Ableton 12. So something to check out. But anyway, all right. So we got our snare here, and of course, doing the drum rack certainly makes it easier to program the notes. But so this is going to be a classic example of how powers of 2 tend to show up in EDM music. So we're gonna do 4 measures of quarter notes. So 4 measures of quarter notes, and then 2 measures of eighth notes, right? So we cut the length of the note in half, and we cut the number of measures in half. So we get this kind of like exponentially accelerating sort of feeling. And then we'll do 1 measure of 16th notes. So again, we cut the note duration in half, and we cut the number of measures in half. And then and you kind of see like if you look at how the grid manifests, or the notes show up here, it kind of has this like exponential visual quality to it as well. And I'm actually leaving this last measure blank. So a lot of times build-ups are like 7 measures of, intensifying sounds, and you leave 1 measure empty so you can have like a vocal sample or some other kind of pre-drop like hook, when will the bass drop or whatever. So if you program this correctly, you should get a sound that is kind of like this. sorry, I realized I had my my mic muted that whole time. Okay, sorry. As I was saying, sorry. Yeah. Okay. I unmuted myself, but all right. So when you're if you want to inject some dynamics into the drum roll, you can make every other drum hit slightly quieter. At least on the, you wouldn't want to do it here in the beginning with the quarter notes because those are very emphatic sort of beats, so there's no need to like make the second one quieter. So if you do this trick correctly, it should sound a little bit more organic. So, or don't need to replay the whole thing. Right? We can even take this a little bit further because Ableton has this humanize function. Let's see. I think if you click on this tab, you can see the humanize button here. So the way I would do it I would take this group of 8/8 notes.
Where did you find it?
It's this tab right here. So there's the quantize tab. There's whatever this tab is. And then this one to the left here has this humanize function in it. So we started by lowering the volume of every other note. Now we can set some of the notes slightly off the grid so it's closer to how a human would play it.
Is it different in like Ableton 11?
Oh, Ableton 11 doesn't have the humanize. Sorry. But if you are in Ableton 12, you can select. I would select the last 7 notes and then click humanize. And maybe I would bring it down to 3%. It can be very subtle. And then the reason not to do it on the first note is because the first beat of every measure is gets the most emphasis. So we want that hit to line up right on the grid. And then we can just duplicate this one so we get the same humanized rhythm a couple times, and you can do the same thing with this. Sometimes it slides the note over and it kind of overlaps with the first one in the next measure, so you might have to manually fix it yourself, and then we can apply that same technique.
Tiny little gaps between the notes?
Yeah, it adjusts the notes slightly forward and backward of the grid, so it might step on a next note if it goes too far. But
Is that what the 3.1% represents?
yeah, like if I, if you go nuts with it, it'll really just like, well, I mean, it's even if you put it at 100%, it's honestly pretty subtle. But a little, I think a little goes a long way here. It's just enough to like, it very subtly sidesteps the human ear's ability to like notice robotic similarity. Like, I'm not even sure y'all will be able to hear this, but let's give it a listen. So I think it was on like 3%, but I mean, we can turn it up to 100%. You'll hear how it sounds. Yeah, real messy. So yeah, you don't want that when you're trying to have a nice build up. But I probably could have pushed it further than 3%. But that's a little trick you can use. And if you're making like a hi-hat pattern too, that's a good opportunity to use this humanize function to give it a little bit more of a live sort of feel. But again, my philosophy is to always make sure the note that's on the downbeat of a measure is right on the downbeat, so it really emphatically demarcates the start of that measure. Cool. So we got our little snare build up here, but it's kind of boring. So one pattern you hear a lot more in modern dance music these days is just like a straight 16th note roll, which was in Tyler's song, for instance. It has a way of kind of like just getting to the point and not wasting everyone's time. And the way I like to use it, I like to have a 16th note snare roll layered with my kind of more hard hitting but slower main snare, and you can kind of weave them together. So I would let's grab like a, and since we're doing 16th notes, we want like a shorter snare that doesn't extend as much. So maybe we'll take one of these trap snares. This one seems good. So I'll put that one in there. And where is it? Hold on. I wonder why it's not showing up for me here. Hold on. Okay, let me try. What happens if I copy this over? Wonder if I found a bug. What? Oh, it's because I had the fold turned on. Okay, sorry. Yeah, make sure you don't have fold turned on it, or it will hide any lines that don't have any notes on them. Okay, so now we can just draw in a bunch of 16th notes, but we'll also do that same trick of like adjusting the velocities so they're a little bit quieter. Oops. On every other one, something like this. Oh, and if you do this adjustment manually, you can also add some, that's a way to add variation as well. There's also this randomize button here on the velocity, so you could really crazily randomize them, or not a lot, but just enough to give it a little bit more of a human feel. And then you could just we can also humanize this a bit. Not that much, but a little bit. And then we can paste this. Cool. So together that now sounds like this. Yeah. So what's that?
Sorry, how do you do the drum rack again?
So so you can either bring in a drum rack from your sidebar here, or if you dragged in a single sample, you can you just have a simpler here. You can right click on the top and click this group to drum rack button, and then it will turn it into a drum rack for you. Does that make sense?
And then if you go back to the MIDI, it'll show up in two bars on top of each other.
If you have two samples in here, hold on, Philip, you said, let's see. Desktop audio. All right, Philip, tell me if this worked. Okay, I think that did work because I see the desktop audio meter going on. Apologies for the driver issues. Cool. So,
did you group to drum rack here?
All right, you group to drum rack. You load it. You load in a sample. Whatever it is, and then you right click, and you click group to drum rack. So whatever single sample you load into a simpler here, you can group it to a drum rack.
Do I need to insert the drum rack first, or?
No. The whole point is that you take you just drag in your one sample, and then you're like, oh wait, I wish I had more. I wish this were a drum rack, or I wish I could then start adding more drums. So you right click on the simpler, and then you say group to drum rack. But you can just drag in if you drag in any old sample onto a MIDI track, it by default turns it into a simpler. And then you can go from there. And then if you have Ableton 12, you can upgrade the simpler into a sampler, and you get even more control, but it's like a heavier duty kind of synth. So, you know, there are certain cases where you do want to do this. Like if you're making an 808 and you want the kick drum to stay at the same pitch, but allow the bass to go on different notes. But anyway, cool. So we got our you know, really awesome, cool snare roll pattern that has a lot of energy and kind of moves us forward. But let's continue shaping this a little bit more, just to show y'all some other ideas for how you can kind of create more of a sense of rising action. Because right now, even though it speeds up in time, like kind of the volume stays the same, the pitch of the snares kind of stay the same. The amount of high end in the snares stays the same, so we have more room for like adding in some additional automation. So let's grab a filter, or auto filter it's called, and we're just gonna put that after the drum rack, because we want it to apply to both of these snare drum sounds. And by default, it's a low-pass filter, which is just what we want. So we want to start the filter with the cutoff frequency fairly low, so that the sound is kind of dark and kind of in the distance. And then we're going to gradually automate the filter cutoff, and it's going to add more and more high frequencies, and it's going to sound like the snare drum is coming closer to us. And that's going to trick the listener into thinking that the snare is approaching. Yeah. So, if we don't automate it, we just get this kind of sound. Right? It's like very dull and then distant and hard to hear, honestly. So we'll right-click on the frequency knob, click Show Automation. We'll put a node here, and then we'll have it all the way at the top by the end of this roll. And because the audio spectrum operates on a logarithmic scale, if you have a linear curve like this, it will sometimes get too bright too quickly. So you often want to have the curve be a little more of a U shape, so you can hold down Alt and drag it down a little bit, and this way it kind of stays darker for longer and kind of smooths out the overall progression. So if you do that right, you get this kind of sound.
So you have to add the audio filter to the drum rack?
Don't put the auto filter in the drum rack. Put it outside the drum rack, because otherwise you'll have to add a filter on both of the sounds to get them both filtered. I mean, that is another way you could play it. You could have one of the snares kind of be filtered in, and that can create a cool kind of trippy sort of sound. Not even that trippy. It would be an interesting variation you could do. But I'm just simply putting it on the whole group here, so that'll sound like this. Yeah. So I probably could have brought the curve up a little bit more here, but it kind of just depends. Like some genres you want just more hype right from the beginning, and others you want to kind of slide it in easily, or ease it in, whatever. So there's one thing we can do. Another is we can gradually increase the volume of the snare over time. So to do that, I would probably put a utility on the track. So put utility on the track. It has a gain knob, that's very simple. So we're just gonna make it get louder over time. This is not always necessary, but just want to give y'all a few options. So we can go from, let's say, negative 3 dB to 0. And that'll just, again, give you more of that, like, it's far away, and now it's coming close.
in this case, it's like half a bar. Is that usually that duration, or?
Well, this is one measure here
It's
before the
just
drop
one,
hits.
okay.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. I mean, there's some genres where the drop doesn't so much like slam down on you as it's more like a wave cresting over, which I don't typically like that much. But I don't know, I went to Marquee one time, and the opening DJ just had a bunch of songs where it like just sort of crested and didn't like drop hard. It was really annoying. But psychoacoustically, having this gap before the drop hits builds anticipations. It makes the drop sound louder by comparison. And there's some other diabolical tricks you can do, which I'll show at the end, to further enhance that. Like, basically turning down the entire drop a little bit at the end and then turning it back up right when the drop hits. So, yeah, you can get a lot of mileage out of just these like little tricks that use the way we hear things. Okay, so I talked about bringing up the filter. I talked about bringing in the volume. Let's see, was there something else? Yeah, another trick you can do is well, I'll show it on the melody. But so this is a good place to start. On my jacket.
One thing I noticed when like I lowered the frequency was it sounds kind of muddled. Is that just part of like?
Yeah, if you take out the high frequencies in a sound, yeah, it'll sound muffled, muddy, far away, incoherent. Because we do, humans do rely on like the mid and upper mid-range frequencies baby's crying sits in like the 1 kilohertz to 5 kilohertz region, and we have a notch in our hearing curve. Actually, this is a good time to talk about the equal loudness contour. So we don't hear all frequencies at the same volume. We, oh my God, calm down, Wikipedia. These frequencies right in here, this 2K to 5K region, it's very easy for us to hear. And then as you start going up, you need more sound pressure for us to perceive the sound as being as loud as something here. So like, I think this is a typical baby crying kind of frequency threshold. So I think one of the Evo Psych explanations is that we developed this notch so we could hear our offspring and it increased their survivability. Who knows? But you can hear or you can see here that, for lower frequencies, you need a lot more pressure before it sounds just as loud. But if you were to, so what this means is we can actually, in our mixes, we can turn down the mids and turn up the lows and highs, and the overall mix will sound louder to us. And that's why you have this thing called the smiley curve in EQ. This is like a really extreme example, but here they've cranked the bass and the treble, and they've scooped the mids, and so this will we will perceive this as being louder than, say, rock music, which tends to emphasize the guitar, and which has, the mids tend to be turned up. So, it sounds live and more organic, but it also just will not sound as loud as EDM. And some modern metal is mixed more like EDM, and if you've heard the term scooping the mids, it's because they take their guitar tone and like actually turn down the mids and turn up the bass and treble, and it just sounds louder, and you can mix it. Or it's not even that you can mix it louder, it's just that because of how humans perceive sound, it will appear louder. And I was going to mention this in the techno session, but there's this plugin called OTT, which basically, it's a multiband compressor, but by default it applies this kind of like smiley face EQ to whatever sound you give it. So, and it compresses everything, so it has the effect of making it really loud. And Ableton has this preset built into its multiband compressor. If you don't have the version of Ableton that has this, you can download you can download OTT from the X for Records website. They're the same people that make Serum. But this can help kind of add clarity and presence to certain sounds. And sometimes bass producers will stack like several of these in a row just to like really blow up their sound. Maybe I'll have a chance to show it in action here today. But yeah, Smiley Curve EQ. So before let's show one more example of how this, you know, dividing and multiplying by 2 idea plays out. So, you know, besides having the having a snare roll like this, you can also have a really slow kick kind of roll. So we'll do. I'm gonna grab the same sample that I use in the drop. Let's see. I want to show in browser. Okay, there it is. I'm gonna add it to my drum rack here. And then, so here I'm gonna do, you know, 1 kick on at the start of measure 1. Let's see, I'll do, and then I'll put 1 at measure 3, and then I'll put 1 at measure 4, 5, and then start doing half notes, and then finally 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see the same idea. I'm like gradually increasing how actually this one wouldn't be here. Let me take this out. Sorry, don't want to mislead y'all. Okay, so dun 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 dun. And honestly, you can kind of play somewhat fast and loose with this idea and just use your ear. But I guess if I'm doing it strictly, I would take that out, or just do that one, and then have like dun dun dun, maybe dun dun dun, something like this. So I'm you know, every time when I want to speed it up, I do it at the halfway point in whatever fractal subdivision I'm in, if that makes sense. So I've added this kick drum, so now you'll hear how this enhances the sound. Yeah, so, okay, it's more easily visible with the snares, but, you know, here I have 4 measures of quarter notes, followed by 2 measures of eighth notes, followed by 1 measure of 16th notes. So every time I half the length of the note, I also half the number of measures that I'm playing. So you get this like exponential speed up. And here I'm kind of doing the same thing, but on an even slower scale with the kick, right? So 1 every 2 measures, then 1 every 1 measure, then you know, now I'm speeding it up even more. So this will add some extra like thump in the low end during the build up. So here we go. Yeah. So plenty of, and you can, you know, try all sorts of different variations with this as you continue to play. I sometimes like to throw in extra like hits here in the slower quarter note section, so I might go like dun 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 dun. Maybe make this one 2 eighth notes, and then dun 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 dun. Maybe dun da da dun 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 dun. Right, so just like a little variation to add your own signature touch onto the build-up. Keeps the listener interested. Sounds like this. Yeah, so that's you know, lets you put your fingerprints on the track a little bit. Oh, geez, I got to keep it moving. All right.
I have a question. So
What's up?
for the snare rolls and the like, is there no reason to like accent the downbeat like in any way? Because here it's not distinguished whatsoever compared to like the upbeats, right?
Well, I am accenting the downbeats
With the
kind of with the kick drum.
but not the 3, just the 1. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I could turn up the first hit even more.
Yeah. Because this is how you typically do it if you had a real snare.
Yeah, like if you're in a marching band, I mean, you might go. You could, I mean, that could. I'm sure that would work in an EDM context as well, but you don't necessarily want the snare roll to stick out too much, right? Because there's probably other stuff going on during the build-up. Yeah. So, all right, let's add some more kind of ambient. So there's a couple kind of release the tension that was built up during, let's say, a build-up, but you can also do it at the start of a build-up here. So I might, a really simple way to do this is with just some noise. So let's create a new MIDI track, and we'll get a copy of Vital and put that there. And we're going to turn off the pitch oscillator. We don't need that. We just need the noise, which is sampler. And then, of course, you can do lots of different sound manipulations in Vital, but for simplicity, I'll do it all in Ableton. So just want the white noise. And then I'm going to draw a note that's like 4 measures long here. Whatever pitch you like, and doesn't even have to be C3 because noise, random noise doesn't have a central pitch to it. So that's really loud and annoying. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our filter and we're going to put that on the track after Vital. I'm going to delete these other things I have by default. And instead of using the low pass, we're going to use what's called a band pass filter. So this lets a narrow range of frequencies through. Gives kind of a more focused sound. But you're going to want to switch. Oh, wow, it's got some. This one has some really cool new modes in it. Vowel filter. That looks. And this sort of. Yeah, I brought in a filter after Vital, switched it to bandpass mode, and then automated the frequency here. To bend the curve so it's not linear, you hold down Alt, and then I think it's the same on Mac. Option. Okay. Let's see, just checking around. I see Philip typing. Hopefully I didn't lost. Okay. First of all, it's funny that 11 Labs is advertising on my stream, so I don't know how Google knew how to do that, but kudos. I guess they can tell I'm all about music. But Philip, I was just sorry about the ads. Let me pause and resume them. The last 15 seconds, I was basically saying how to bend this automation curve. So you hold down Alt or Option on Mac, and then you can click and bend the curve. You'll see this little circle or half circle shows up next to the arrow key. Targeted ad is crazy, yeah.
Which filter are you using?
This is just the auto filter. Should come with every version of Ableton. If you do it right, it sounds like this. Oops. What the heck? What the heck? Okay, hold on. Sorry, my Ableton is rebelling again. Okay, let's try this.
I feel like this is the only DAW that does this stupid business of audio processor fading out.
Alright, did that work? Hold on. Okay, switch drivers. Like, does Skrillex do this? Did he have to? Alright, I'm going to use the money I made from this class to buy a Mac.
I'm actually selling an M1 Pro if you're interested.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to just get the...
M5.
Is the M5 out now?
I think so. If not, it should be out soon.
Okay. Turn it on.
Oh no, I announced.
Okay. Okay, let me close a few more tabs here. Okay. What the heck? All right.
Can you show how you drew the
Tuning.
automation curve again?
Yes. Let me see if I can. Okay. Well, now the audio works again for whatever reason. But okay. Sorry. You wanted to see how I drew the automation curve?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I right-clicked on the frequency parameter and I clicked Show Automation, and then it shows an automation curve for that, and then.
It was already occurred there?
No, this is how it starts off. So you can insert a node and drag it over here, and drag a node down like this, and then use the Alt key to bend up the curve. I saw you plug Sudo and rebelled. Yeah, right. Okay, let me also reset the desktop audio. Okay, that should be working. Okay, let me double check. All right, so you heard what the white noise, what that kind of added to the sound. It's also fun to make it bounce a little bit. I don't think we've looked at this effect yet, but there's one called auto pan. So there's a couple ways you can use this. You can either have it in default, it'll pan left and right. So maybe I want to have it pan, every quarter note a little bit. So it goes around the stereo field a little bit. So it's kind of panning back and forth. That helps add a little interest. You can also, we'll throw in another one. You can also make the volume bounce by using this phase knob here. So I'm going to turn this all the way up. If you rotate the phase, you can get the left and right channels to line up. And so now it's making both the left and the right channels go up and down.
So why would you make a second one?
Well, because I want one auto pan to make the sound go left and right, and then I want another one to make it kind of bounce a little bit volume wise. Maybe I'll put on quarter notes.
I don't think Ableton has
Oh, it doesn't?
at least mine. It has band fast.
It has what?
Band fast.
I'm curious. Fast. Oh, that's probably some preset. You can also you could do this in Vital too. You could take an LFO and then put it on the level of the white noise. So I could do like this, and then sync it to quarter notes. So put the curve like this, and now I don't need this other auto pan. Except I'd probably leave it, it needs to have a little bit of volume the whole time, I think. So I'd probably turn the level up here a little bit so we get this kind of sound. Maybe even a little bit more. So, that's, you can take this simple, this is the nature of a downer type sound. It goes from high frequencies to low frequencies to kind of give you the sense of release and you're letting the energy out and kind of setting up for the next whoosh of energy.
So the whooshing comes from the panning?
The whooshing is because it's like a noise sound. If I turn off the panning, I guess some of the whooshing is also from the tremolo, as it's called, on the volume of the white noise. But if I can even take that off, right? And it'll still sound kind of whooshy. But it's also kind of boring too, so that's why I wanted to add a little bit of motion with the LFO and on the volume, and then the pan, so it like pans around. It's the whooshing is characteristic of the white noise sound and the filter, I guess you could say. No one's ever asked me what whoosh means.
I think the frequency is somehow moving, right? Which is causing the whoosh. Like if you see in vinyl, like let's make the width of the LFO very narrow, then it will not move as much.
I guess. For me, the whoosh is just this notion of it's like the noise is a kind of ocean wave, and you enhance the whoosh by adding this filter movement down. I mean, the filter movement down is what gives it its quality of releasing energy, right? You're going from high frequency to low. You can imagine, if you spin a coin, it's initially spinning really fast, and then as it loses energy, it like.
Oh, so the filter is like moving the sound wave?
Yeah, the filter here. I'll just the filter on its own sounds like this. It's a bandpass filter, so it like.
So it's like cutting off high and low frequencies, but it's also like perturbing the wave as it's going through.
Well, it's filtering out all the frequencies that aren't in this narrow band.
Right.
So it's cutting out the lows and the highs. There's also this notch filter, which is the opposite. And it has kind of a different sort of more like the Doppler effect, or.
Oh, but it's because like the white noise is like lots of different frequencies that's like randomly generated, right?
Yeah, white noise has every single frequency possible in it.
Yeah.
So it's like a very rich waveform. There's a lot of material for the bandpass filter to work with.
I'm just surprised that it's like dynamic rather than like a static sound. But
Well, because if you look at the waveform here in the upper right corner, you can kind of see where it gets its it can take on any value from negative 32,000 to positive 32,000, or negative 1 to 1, let's say. So it can, it's constantly jumping around. I assume it uses some kind of pseudo random number generator to create the noise because it's a computer. But if we just render this, waveform, you can kind of see. If this takes a long time, oh my god. Killing me, Smalls.
Tim Apple's calling.
Tim Apple, I want my money. What?
how much RAM do you have?
32 gigabytes. I think. Yeah, 31.4. I don't know how many times more powerful this computer is than the computer that sent the spaceship to the moon, but come on. Okay. Let me see if I can freeze this track and then bounce track in place. Okay. So if we zoom in, you can see how it's just totally random, can take on any value at any time. And so it's a very rich waveform, and you can actually do some really there's something called self oscillation, where you can actually play white noise as a note. If we take a bandpass filter that has a really high resonant peak, super high, and then I put on key tracking, I put it on here. And that's just noise. but this filter has the resonance parameter turned up so much it does what's called self-oscillation, and you can get this kind of like, yeah, ghostly sonar ping type of sound. But underneath it's just noise. Of course, you can also just layer a sine wave. Anyway, sorry, not to get too deep into sound design. I'm getting nerd sniped here. Okay, okay, back to the noise. Back to our beautiful white noise. Okay. Oh wait, now I gotta reset the filter. All right. Cool. And of course, we can also just make it go back up for the second half of the drop. So, you can just duplicate that clip, and then we'll make the white noise go up here. But we're gonna, because we only want it to stop, give us that one measure before the drop hits. We'll make it go up faster, and we'll just trim the edge here. So now, we're going to release some of the tension, and we're going to add it back in. And usually you wouldn't just, basically copy and paste the same sound in reverse, though of course you can. You would, maybe want to do something a little different to make it, sound a little different. But, just to illustrate the point. Oh, sorry. I keep muting the mic so that the room sound doesn't go in when I'm trying to play, and then it messes up, but sorry about that. Yeah, just to explain, the second half of this noise riser.
Audio is off again.
Oh my god. Wait, on the stream?
Yeah.
It's coming through here. I think he just meant my microphone audio, right, Philip?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So for the white noise riser part, I make the bandpass frequency go down for the first 4 measures, and then for the second 3 measures, I have it go up. Okay, great. And there's other things we could do too to make it flutter a little bit. And maybe I'd want to put the riser on a different track and give it different parameters so that it has a somewhat different character compared to the previous noise. You can also there's plenty of examples to look at or to listen to on Splice, let's say. But okay, so one thing there's some more things we could add here too, but let me just show one of the other key ideas I mentioned at the beginning. So there's this idea of teasing the melody out, like playing a little fragment of it during the build-up, so that the listener starts to wonder ooh, what's that? What's coming? It kind of gets them a little bit familiar with the melody before you even play it for real in the drop. And you can do this with a spoken word sample as well. And oftentimes I'll show how you can take a little fragment of the pre-drop vocal and also use that in your build-up. But in our drop here, we have this melody that's like da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na. So I want to take that first part, that da-na-na, da-na-na, and repeat that a few times during the build-up. But I'm going to use similar techniques to the snare roll, where I'm going to make it sound like it's far away in the distance, and then it's going to like come closer. And then when the drop hits, it's going to be like, oh my God, there's that melody I've been waiting for my whole life. So we'll take this much of the lead. If you're wondering, let me quantize these a little bit here. And probably want to put a utility on here to turn down the melody before leading up to, because I want the melody and the drop to be full volume, so I'm gonna bring it down a bit to start. Well, I selected a chunk of the MIDI clip. I hit Control C, then I pasted that chunk over here.
Just select from the top bar. You can't just select under it.
Oh, I put my cursor here, or sort of in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
If I put it up here, it's gonna start deleting parts. But if I put it here, I can select. Is it? Wait. Now I'm confused. What's this here? Oh, it's because you have the automation. Oh, I don't get rid of that. Well, you just need to switch. Yeah, so now you can copy and paste. Cool. There you go. Okay. So, all right. So we have this da-na-na, da-na-na, 3, 4, and I'll delete some of these. Just create some more space, right? So it looks like this. And then, I'll duplicate that. Da-na-na, da-na-na, digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga, da-na-na, da-na-na, digga-digga-digga-digga-digga, da-na-na, digga-digga-digga, da-na-na, digga-digga-digga, da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na. Maybe I'll do for the last one just like 3 hits like this. All right, so now I'm starting to tease this melody out before the drop hits. But I wanna enhance this feeling of it's like getting closer and it's kind of swirling and atmospheric. So we're gonna add some reverb and delay to it.
What's the scale plugin that you have?
Oh yeah, this is from last session. This is a MIDI effect, the scale plugin, which any notes that are outside of the scale that you set it to will be shifted over so that they line up with the scale. So it's like a way of making sure you can't play any wrong notes, any notes that are outside the scale. Right, so besides this utility plugin, I'm going to add a reverb. So, and most effects have this concept of dry wet. It's like a balance between the input signal and the output signal. And if an effect is 100% wet, it's like only the signal with the effect on it. And if it's 100% dry, then it's like the effect is not even on. So we're gonna gradually make the signal more dry. So it's going to initially sound like it's kind of cloudy and far away, and then it's going to gradually come into focus as we delete the reverb, and then when the drop hits, it'll be, fully off, and it will sound like very upfront and present. So again, just drag in a reverb, set it to 100% wet, and then right-click Show Automation, and then automate it. I think we want it to something like, this is a little bit to taste, but so we might have to tune it a little bit, but you know, we still want to leave this space open for our pre-drop vocal. So, you know, now with this reverb thing turned on, we have this. You might have to turn the volume back up too, because the reverb tends to be, you know, kind of far in the background, or it makes the sound further away and harder to hear. So you can afford to turn up the volume a little bit. Yeah, so you're starting to hear how that like led us to want the melody before it, you know, comes in during the drop. And we can also, you know, add some delay. I usually like to put the delay before the reverb. So you're adding delay copies of the signal, and then you're applying the reverb to those copies, rather than reverbing the whole signal and then duplicating it. I like to put the delay before the reverb.
Isn't that standard?
I think, as far as I understand it, that's the standard approach. Yeah. But you know, some people want to be creative and put the delay after the reverb, and who am I to stop them? But we can do the same trick where we gradually decrease the amount of delay, the dry wet on it. Yeah, bring it down like this. Cool. Let's see. All right, so let's get our pre-drop vocal. What was that one we used last time?
Sacrificing the born.
It was, let's see, vocal.
1, 2, 3, Joe! Everybody know that I kill it.
Everybody. Let's see, what is this?
Fuck you and who you came with. Pump your fist in this shit. Throw your hands up if you with it.
I like that. Throw you.
Okay, let's use the throw your hands up one. Okay, so blah blah blah. We'll put it in a new.
Throw your hands.
Yeah, and you'll notice it's at 140 beats per minute. Oh wait, our track is also at 140, so we're good. So let's see, that's gonna sound like this.
Throw your hands up if you with it.
All right, so not quite the right rhythm I want. Like I'd want it to kind of end a little bit earlier, but you know, whatever. We'll go with it. So now we can also like, you know, tease this as well during our build up. So we'll take a little copy here. Throw your hands up. Throw your hands up. Throw your hands up.
Is it easy to change?
Throw your hands up. What's that?
Is it easy to change the speed of the vocal or no?
Yeah, you can just come in here, click a vocal. You can warp it, and then you can change the BPM. You can raise the clip's BPM to slow it down.
Throw your hands up.
Or you can lower the BPM to speed it up.
Throw your hands up if you with it.
This would be like doubling it.
Throw your hands up if you with it.
Yeah, so you can do it that way. Throw your hands up, throw your hands up, throw your hands up, throw your hands up. Throw your hands, throw your hands, throw your hands, throw your hands. You know, so I'm applying the same idea, right? Like every 4, 2, 1, I'm gonna speed up the vocal, or I'm gonna cut it into smaller slices. Throw. Throw your hands up if you with it. Wait, did I go too far? There we go. Yes. Okay, and similarly to here, I probably want to, you know, gradually fade in the volume, and you know, maybe I don't know, put this at -12. Maybe I also want to, you know, filter in the highs, you know, add in more high frequencies over time.
Where did you type in the value that you wanted?
Oh, let's see. So I right clicked and I said edit value. usually if you have a parameter selected, you could also just type, click it and type in a value. So we'll bring that up, and then so something like this might work.
Throw your hands up, throw your hands up, throw your hands up, throw your hands up, throw your hands, throw your hands, throw your hands, throw your hands, throw your hands up if you with it.
With it, with it, and then this is a great time to like take a snippet of this and turn it into an extra rhythmic element for your drop. So if you with it.
The voice so like precisely.
Right. So the initial sample, it's 140 beats per minute, which is the same as my project tempo. So I didn't have to mess with that. And then I can see these lines here, right? Like, so I know I know this part. It's snapping to the grid, so I can select just this first part, right? I know I can tell he's saying throw your hands up, and then he stops for a second and says if you with it, and so I can copy that, and then I pasted it here, and now I want to repeat just this fragment for the next measure. So I'm going to select one measure and then duplicate it, and then same thing here. And then, for this part, the throw, I'm like, okay, I need 2 eighth notes. So I'm just going to copy the first eighth note of the clip.
Yeah, so you just did it by like measure-ish.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, it's.
Line up the symbol almost.
Mm-hmm.
The snare,
Yeah, the sample was really, I guess, well made for this, kind of genre. But yeah, you can just use the Ableton grid to get you exactly how much you want. And if I really need him to say maybe I would come in here and make a little micro adjustment just so it's like even more on the grid. But and sometimes when you're editing vocals, especially because humans, we've got really good awareness of human speech, so really subtle differences can make a big difference in how the sound is perceived. So you need to like tweak it a little bit, but you can get the big cuts just by looking at the grid and lining it up.
Yeah, you can actually like pull on the sound wave if you need to in Ableton.
Yeah, you can. So yeah, you can. If you warp your sample, you can add what are called warp markers. So it tends to auto-detect where it thinks there's a transient, but if you click on one of these, click another one here, now you can you can really precisely line up the transient with where exactly you want it to land on the grid. If you do it too much, it'll start to warp the sound around it in a way that you might not want, but and it sounds natural. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is one of Ableton's really powerful features. So you can if someone does a vocal take that's a little off, you can go in and micro adjust it with the little warp markers. But okay, so let me just redo this real quick. I think I messed up the automation curve. Okay, throw your hands up. Throw your hands up. Throw your hands up. Throw your hands up. Up. Throw your hands up. Throw your. This is a Christian Minecraft server. Okay, right, and then automation. There we go. All right, and then probably got to do the same thing with the gain here. Okay, put that up, clear it out. Okay, 0. All right, actually this one must be a little bit lower. Okay.
Throw your hands up if you with it.
hands up if you with it, something like that. With it. Yeah, so now that can be like a counter melody or a counter theme to your main melody, and it kind of nicely, this is another example of that idea of keeping one thing the same and then changing it. So I'm like using the vocal to kind of spill over into the next section and kind of smoothly transition it. So I might have like, this could, gradually decay in volume. Let's see, this should have been.
Your gain is not increasing, right?
Yeah, sorry, I meant to do this. And then, on the way out, I would have it fade. Or maybe I would start the fade like this. Yeah, so.
Throw your hands up if you with it, with it, with it, with it.
Cool.
And that's just a normal filter?
I have the low pass filter for this one. So in the beginning, it's like more, I'm going to bring it up a little bit. It's a little bit more, darker. Sorry, not to keep playing that same sample. And a couple other things you might want to do are like put a crash cymbal at the start of the build up. Ugh. Okay, that one's tolerable. So just put a crash cymbals are good. Sound to sort of emphasize a really important beat. So like in this case, I'm putting one on the start of the build up, and then maybe I'll also put one right when the drop hits. Then maybe put one halfway through the drop. So I'm not like sometimes in dubstep you do play the crash more frequently, like on quarter notes, just because you want this sort of epic. You're kind of using it like a ride cymbal, and you're making sure you have a lot of like high frequency energy going. But here I'm just using it as a tool of emphasis. So I'm only putting it on really key measures so that when it comes in, it is really emphatic. So. I still don't like that sound.
Throw your hands up if you with it, with it, with it, with it.
Yeah, and we can, also, we can add that same downer kind of sound here at the start of the drop. Oh yeah, one thing I didn't really talk about too is pitch. So if we go into let's go back to our good old snare buildup here. I know we're a little bit over time, so I'll just wrap up quickly, but we can go into our envelopes here, and then we click down here, and we select MIDI control. We can access the pitch bend. So one really common thing you hear is this, again, at the end of the buildup, you have this rising pitch, rising frequency, just adding more high pitched energy into the sound. So I'm gonna have the pitch be static for the first 4 measures, but then halfway through I'm gonna start bending it up, and go all the way. And so
How did you bring up the pitch bend?
So you get to the pitch bend. So I'm in my MIDI clip. Right next to the notes tab is an envelope tab. Might be different on Ableton 11. Sorry. And then down in the bottom, you have this drop down of different controls you can access. I want the MIDI control. I guess you can probably use this to do automation too. Like I can go in the clip and adjust the frequency parameter of the auto filter. But here I'm just interested in the pitch bend. So I'll put one there, make it go up like this. And it's very important, by the way, to have the pitch wheel go back to 0. Otherwise it'll get stuck, and then like other notes you play will be the wrong pitch potentially. So, but this just, this adds another extra little bit of lift to the sound. And usually I wouldn't do it on the kick drum sample as well, just the snares, but I'm playing fast and loose. So Maybe you can hear this now. Right, so you get some more lift there. What was that?
Like, is that how much is that in pitch or?
I think by default for simpler it's +5 semitones. Oh yeah, so if you click on your controls here, you can see the pitch bend range. In fact, for my kick, I'm gonna set the pitch bend range to 0, so it's gonna stay at the same pitch, and just the snares will go up. So, and then one last thing you might want to do is you can put a small drum fill right before the drop too. So maybe I'll just just play the kick drum twice, dun dun. But I'll make it I'll make it go up in volume. I probably wouldn't do this in real life, but I'm just trying to illustrate the point. So put it all together, we get this.
Throw your hands up if you with it, with it, with it, with it.
All right, not my best work, but you get the point. So the homework for this time is going to be to take one of your existing songs and add a build-up to it using some of these techniques that we showed in class to really get the party started, set things off, etc. And next time we will talk about intros and outros and maybe verses, but we'll also do a little bit of DJing, so intro to DJing. So yeah, I'll send out the recap email soon enough. But thank you, everyone. And thanks for all the demos. It's always fun to hear what y'all cook up.
You want me to bring hardware?
No, we're going to do it all in mix.
Oh, right.
So.